What is going on, YouTube family? I hope you all are doing amazing. We have another great episode of Smart Money Sundays coming at you today. I know you guys love this episode. I love making it and really helping you guys out every single week, giving you a nice outlook for the week ahead and what to expect and kind of what kind of plan you want to have coming into the week. All right. So today is going to be we're going to be going over our typical favored pairs, and a lot of these pairs, a lot of these markets are in somewhat tricky spots. And doing my analysis prior to this video, there's a lot that's going on inside of my head and what I'm thinking. And so I just ask if you bear with me for this episode because a lot of it's going on in my head might be somewhat difficult to articulate verbally within this video. All right, because there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of moving parts, and I want to make sure we get kind of the overall broader perspective on what I'm looking at, and maybe not so much focused on the nitty gritty. Okay, so as usual, we will be starting off on the euro, everybody's favorite pair. And if you remember from a few weeks ago, we talked about how this thing was essentially trapping itself. Okay, as you can see, we have somewhat of a higher low, higher high, higher low, lower high. Okay, so it's essentially wedging itself. Overall, you all know we're looking for continued upside and for the dollar to continue to die. Really, kind of from a fundamental perspective, they're just destroying the dollar. Okay, and I can talk all day about what's going on with the USD fundamentally and how it's being manipulated with kind of COVID being that excuse. But we'll not talk about that today. We'll save that for another day. And we'll kind of get into this top-down perspective on Euro USD. All right, so obviously, like we said, we're essentially trapping ourselves higher low, lower high. All right, and we're engineering this trend line here. As you can see, one touch, two touch. And, I can promise you that a lot of retail traders bought upon the touch of this trend line. Okay, so it coincided with a demand zone, a smart money demand zone. And so, it did work out, had a nice reaction. But stepping back again, as I talked about weeks ago, I think it's going to be necessary for price to ultimately retest our high here before we get our next explosive move to the upside. As you can see, we had the major fake crony sell to buy from COVID in March of 2020. It took a lot of institutional volume to sell this thing down, run a ton of liquidity for the sell to buy to the upside expansionary move. Okay, and so this institutional volume, I think we'll need to go ahead and finally retest at least the high before we can free up the liquidity to continue up to the upside with an expansionary move. Okay, so for now, I think what this is engineering liquidity. Okay, we're engineering that liquidity for an ultimate sell to buy yet again. Okay, to retest this high. Okay, and so what we can do also kind of as a confluence is we can take our prior sell to buy, our institutional sell off before the big expansionary move. We can measure it. We can clone this move. What I'm going to do is clone it, and then I'm going to attach it to the high that was created back in January. Okay, so if we attach it to the high, if we're expecting an equally weighted retracement in terms of a sell to buy, equal to this sell to buy would bring us right into, as you can see, our old high here. Okay, so that's a very powerful tool that I use. It's very simple. It's something not a lot of people know about and that you can incorporate into your own trading as well. But this gives me some more conviction that ultimately we will need to test this high before we can expand again to the upside. In that case, we can then duplicate our entire expansionary move from the sell to buy, attach it to here. I'm not going to do it, but you guys get the gist. And that will give us our kind of our next upside targets, higher time frame for where this thing's headed. I think it's 1.3250 is when I did it. That's what I got. but ultimately I think we will need to retest this high. Okay. So also, if we want to attach a Fibonacci, you can see that we did trade into the 78, and that negative 27 lines up very closely with our old high here in market structure. Okay, so in terms of the here and now, what can we expect? Well, it would be nice if we did get somewhat of a dollar retracement in terms of dollar weakness. Okay, and so I would like to see euro trade back up into some type of premium. And if we go to the 1 hour time frame, you can see a very clean inefficiency here. A massive institutional candle, a lot of volume here, more than likely skipped liquidity. Okay, so I'd like to see it rebalanced, trade back up into 1.2075, 1.2100, and then ultimately I'd like to see it run out our institutional trend line, our engineered trend line, down into our old high within market structure before we then get our next expansionary move. Okay, so that is the most plausible scenario that I can kind of formulate in my head of what's actually going on with the dollar. Obviously, if you scan across a lot of the majors, the dollar is bullish at the moment. We are bullish on kind of the 4 hour and kind of the daily time frame on some of the pairs at the moment. Okay, and I expect that to continue until we can account for our sell-off here, at least on Euro USD, and we'll get into the level I'm looking at on AUD USD in a second. All right, so in terms of the here and now, like I said, it would be nice to get back up into here to look for distribution. But until then, in terms of the here and now, if we do get above this supply here, which as you can see ran liquidity, if we do get above that level, I would expect price to trade back into here where we can get a nice long opportunity intra-week up into that level. Okay. Alternatively, this thing could just open here and sell off and respect and maintain the structure here. If that being the case, I would not place a limit here. I would really wait to see if we accumulate lower time frame and then look to go long on this. Okay. We have to keep our overall higher time frame perspective in mind on this thing, because we know more than likely ultimately we will need to come down into this old high, 1.1500. Okay, so be careful with playing longs on this. I would wait for significant confirmation and many confluences for this. But I hope I've kind of articulated this perspective well. Like I said, it's a lot going on in my head, and some of which I'm sure I've forgotten to articulate. But that's kind of my perspective on Euro USD. I do like this level. I do like it. It's just a matter of if we can get above this high, that would be really nice. And then we can have more confidence in this level. Regardless, I would just simply wait for lower time frame and time and price as price trades into this level at 1.1800. All right, so that's Euro USD. And by the same token, on AUD USD, obviously weeks ago, again, I spoke about at least trading into our old high here. And so, sorry about that. My new puppy is quite the yapper. But on AUD USD, I've kind of lost my train of thought now. I do apologize. By the same token, with dollar strength continuing for the short term or medium term, I'm expecting this thing to trade down into our old down close candle, at least here. Okay, so as you can see, daily time frame, we have our lower low, lower high, new confirmed lower low. Okay, so we are now bearish on the daily time frame. Okay, yes, we have retested our old high, but after doing our analysis on Euro USD and the level we expect on Euro USD, we can expect AU and kind of all the other majors to follow suit with what Euro USD is doing. Okay, so I am now expecting retracement into premium, continuation for our kind of 1 drive, 2 drive, 3 drive cycle down into deeper discount. All right. So again, weekly time frame, we have a pretty clean level here. Pretty clean down close, which did run out some liquidity, sell to buy. Okay, so it would be nice if we could get back down into there. Okay, but again, in terms of the here and now, if we get this thing back up into premium, that would be nice. Now, I don't necessarily see any kind of buying opportunity at the moment. And if we go back out to the higher time frame, you can see if we fib our most recent bearish move, we didn't quite hit that negative 27. Okay, so if we were to kind of intra-week go long into premium for another selling opportunity, I would expect probably this thing to run out the low one more time, hit that negative 27, and then get that intra-week long opportunity up into premium prices. Okay, so in terms of our selling opportunity, I would like to at least trade back up into our old structure here, 7,650. Now I think we could potentially dig higher. Okay, if we attach an equally weighted move from our previous retracement, you can see that that would bring us in to this level. Bear with me. This level here, which ran out liquidity, old supply, never retested. Okay, so in terms of a selling opportunity, I would wait. There's not a lot of clear confluences for a specific price point where I'd be looking to sell it besides this level. You know, there is a possibility we simply trade into our inefficiency here. Okay, but with the equally weighted retracement, obviously you can see that would bring us into this supply. Okay, at that point we would then be looking for lower time frame distribution and confirmation of break of structure. Okay, so that is AU. Again, if we're looking to go long on this, I don't think this is a bottom. I would expect at least one more sweep, and then we could run it, and we can run these highs. Okay. But remember, again, our higher time frame perspective, that ultimately we would like us to dig deeper into discount into our down close candle inefficiency here on the weekly time frame. All right, so that's AU. GBP USD, another one. And we'll start back off higher time frame, 4-hour time frame. You guys know that we've been talking about this level for forever. That was never traded into at 1.3600. I think ultimately this will be our target, our downside target, which we have not yet traded into. Okay, so we have our relative equal lows prior to that level as well. Okay, so GU, obviously retracing a little bit harder than AU and EU, but ultimately, again, looking for continued sell-offs on this thing. All right, and so I'll give you a couple POIs. First and foremost, I'm looking at our supply here. As you can see, we have up close candle, buy to sell, mitigation, create the supply, inefficiency, 1.3950. I would be looking for distribution around this region of price. Another confluence is if we attach a fib. Okay, you can see we essentially accumulated around the 78.6 and negative 27 aligns with our area of interest. Okay, so I am expecting price to at least trade up into this level. Now if we breach this level, I would then expect price to trade into our old low here before we then ultimately sell off into our 1.3600 target. Okay, so here and now, you know, you could look to buy GU up into our first POI. Would be a quick little intraday. Obviously 50% of this move, 1.38500 round number. And you know, it would just be a matter of getting the proper time and price. If this happens in Asian session, I'm not going to be interested in it. All right, so if we get kind of a London session retracement into 3850, I would then look for buys up into that first POI at 3,950, and then possibly second target our old low here, or even dig further into our inefficiency here. Mark that off as well. Okay. So first POI, second POI, third POI, ultimately looking for the final sell-off as we are on AU, as we are on EU. All right, so simple, straightforward, and then obviously, like I said, you can look for potential intraday plays long up into these levels here. All right, so that's GBP USD. All right, Euro JPY. Obviously been selling off quite significantly the last couple of weeks. All right, and so pairing this kind of with Euro USD, I'm looking for yet another extension to the downside, at least into our 2-day demand here. That would be very nice, kind of around 129.00 on Euro JPY. Okay, very, very clean demand zone on EJ. All right, and so what gives me more conviction on that is the fact that yes, we did run out the singular wick low. However, we engineered equal lows here. So that tells me that we can sell any retracement. All right, and so in terms of a POI for sells, I do very much so like this level here. Whoops. Buy to sell. Okay, we can look at the open, we can look at the 50%, even the open of this 1 hour candle here. It would be very nice for a continuation down through equal lows into that 2-day candle on Euro JPY. Okay, it does somewhat concern me that these are kind of relative equal highs here. Okay, and so I would be wary of that and the fact that we could potentially just spike through it real quick and then continue down. So I would not place a limit at this level. I would wait for lower time frame price action and confirmation, but ultimately we know our higher time frame objectives. Okay, so that is Euro JPY. Not much else more to say about that. Now GBP CHF, this is an interesting one. Okay, again, trading back within this range we've been talking about forever. Okay, now this one, we go out to the daily time frame. Obviously, we had a massive, massive bullish run. Okay, massive bullish run. Okay, so we've had our sell-off, and this to me, like I said a couple weeks ago, appears corrective in nature. Okay, this tells me that ultimately we have impulsive move, retracement, corrective phase for another impulsive move to get this thing back down into discount. Okay, obviously we ran the highs and we just ran the lows. Old low here, go down to the lower time frames. We ran old low here, old lows here. Okay, and so trading back now in the middle of the range. All right, so for me, what I think is necessary in order for this thing to create an equally sized move to this impulsive move, this expansionary move, we're going to need to run the highs again, in my opinion. Okay, I just think we need to trade further into premium. You fib this. Looking at the 61, 71, even 78.6, as people like to say, golden pocket. Be looking for that retracement to finally sell this thing off down into higher time frame discount. Okay, and so now that we've run the lows of the range, run the high, run the low, I expect to run the high again and then get a massive institutional move to the downside. All right, so for now, I don't expect to just simply buy on a retracement. What I'd like to see, because we did sell off significantly, what I'd like to see for price to do is trade into, obviously, demand here, create a higher low and a new higher high, at which point then we will have confirmed higher high, higher low, higher high. We will then take it upon the third pullback, or the second pullback, apologies, take it the third drive to the upside, take it long, okay, whereby we will then look for higher time frame selling opportunities. As you can see, no wick here, buy to sell. Whoops. Buy to sell. And if we hop out to the weekly time frame, it would be our weekly inefficiency fill here at 1.29062. Okay, so again, to reiterate, I will be looking for, because we sold off, this could simply be a retracement for a continuation. I would want to see price stop, create a higher low, a new higher high, confirm bullishness on the H1 time frame, and then take it for the third drive up into the POI we just talked about, whereby we'll be looking for distribution and a massive swing trade to the downside, 1.2900. Okay, digging further into this inefficiency. All right, so that is the plan that we have created for GBP-CHF. Create the plan, then trade the plan. Very simple stuff. All right, last one I want to talk about today, guys, is USD CAD. Go back to previous episodes. You all know that we've been targeting this 8-hour level here, okay, for weeks now. What I told you guys, I'm expecting price to ultimately trade up into here. Now, with what we're looking at on the rest of the dollar pairs, I don't think this is going to be the top, okay? I think the dollar, again, is going to need one more, obviously, expansionary move in terms of bullish price action to get Euro USD and AUD USD and GBP USD down into those specific levels that we talked about. Okay, so if we're pairing USD CAD with that, we would expect another bullish run on it as well. Okay, and so what I'm looking at here on USD CAD, again, is the same level from a couple weeks ago that was never accounted for. Okay, obviously, it's this 4-hour down close, 4-hour inefficiency. This will be my POI for one more run on this pair. Okay, you can see that aligns with the 6171 area on the higher time frame fib. Okay, so what we would be doing, we'd be looking for a swift sell-off, running out the liquidity within this retail trend line, pricing in a new higher low, and then expanding again to the upside. As you can see, a very clean accumulation schematic here in the spring, the massive expansionary move. Okay, now we would just be looking for discount, trade back into our inefficiency, our down close candle here, and then get an equal size move to the upside as well. Okay, and then you can obviously fib our bullish move here and use that negative 27 as upside targets. I really would expect these highs to be destroyed, take that liquidity, potentially even these highs. Okay, it will all depend on where kind of EU and AU are trading at that time. All right, so that is USD CAD. My bias has not changed. My POI has not changed on USD CAD. You know, I'm pretty sure we have BOC monetary policy and rate statement this week, so that could really be our catalyst for this thing to sell to buy, okay, and run out this liquidity. All right, so kind of a lot to soak in from today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you took notes. I hope you marked these levels off on your charts, and have a phenomenal week in the markets. Just a quick announcement. Obviously, some of you already know, but we are releasing our Wyckoff Wizard algorithm, EA, on MQL5 very soon. I expect that to be around the 15th or 16th of July. I know a lot of you have already purchased it in private pre-sale at discount. If you'd like to do so, please message us on Telegram at Ariel FX Trading. We'd be happy to get you set up. Otherwise, it will be posting at a higher price on MQL5 very soon. It is the first institutional smart money concept Wyckoff based EA ever published and offered to the retail community. So we are super excited about it and getting phenomenal results with it, as well as our current clients who are already using it. All right, so super excited. Stay tuned for that. It's going to be awesome, and you're going to absolutely love it. All right. So again, if you have any questions, or if you would like to join the community, please message us on Telegram at Ariel FX Trading. We'd be happy to get you involved. All right. Have a wonderful week, guys. Thanks.